everybody. Welcome back to Dat Fury Radio. I'm Howie Howard from Mr. Furious Records, joined again by author, musician, and teacher, and friend, Sylvie Althoff. What's up, Sylvie?
Most importantly. Hey, Howie, good to see you.
Absolutely. We were friends before any of this other stuff. Our partners were friends, and then we all, the four of us, would hang out from time to time, and we all became friends.
Yeah, friendship. That's the real fear. I don't know. I'm abandoning that right now.
Maybe friendship was the real friends we made along the way.
I think you got it. Hit it on the nose there, yeah.
Loose show this week. You are bringing a question for our mutual discussion. And as soon as you're ready, why don't you hit me with that question?
Yeah, if you'll forgive the crass self-promotion, in the last podcast, we talked about a short story that I have out in the world called Please Don't Talk About Me When I'm Gone. It's about, it's available on Luna Station Quarterly, issue number 65. Yep, 65. And that story prominently features a newcomer to a long-running New Orleans trad jazz jam session. And some things that ensue as a result of that. And what I was thinking we could talk about, jumping off from that story, is about playing music with other people, including people you don't especially know all that well. Most of my music making has been with, in my current band, the Twangles, with my wife, Jen Thomas, who is an incredible cellist and singer and bassist and human being. So I don't have a ton of experience playing with other people, except when I attended the New Orleans Trad Jazz Workshop a couple of times the last few years, and also in another band that I was in here in Lawrence, Kansas a few years ago. And I will say playing music with other people can often involve some issues of personality. Let's leave it open like that. There have been people I've made music with whom it's been a really great experience. We've been very musically compatible and really personally compatible and had a great time and been the best of friends. And there have been people with whom I am not particularly musically compatible with, or not very personally compatible with, even if the music is pretty good. So I wanted to ask you if you've had situations like any of those millions I just breezed by.
Definitely. Most of my experience making music with other people is in long-term projects. And it's another one of those cliches that I have found in my experience to be true, is that being in a band there's a lot of similarities to a marriage, and it really, the complexity explodes with the number of members. So it really is kind of like a poly relationship in a lot of ways.
Sure.
Usually without the sex, always without the sex in my experience, but other bands handle things in other ways. My first and longest running band is Howie and Scott and I have been friends since kindergarten or before. And so we had many, many years of friendship in place before we were doing a band. So that's more like you and Jen in a lot of ways. Duo, long-standing relationship. Sorry?
No, I jumped right on what you were saying there. Sorry about that. Please continue.
Oh, I was just listing off the things that are the same. Two people, long-term relationship, with a strong personal element that pre-exists the band, and stuff like that. What were you saying?
Did you feel that, if you were friends since kindergarten, once you started playing in a band together, were there any dynamics that came up that you were not prepared for, surprised by at all?
Just short answer, no. I mean, there's always the negotiating of the differences of artistic opinion, kind of, right? And one of the kind of more unique, one of the challenges of Howie and Scott has been Scott's schedule. So this is an artistic and a practical challenge in terms of, like, Scott is the drummer of the band, but I am the trained drummer. And I'm often the one with the time to record the drums. So we have this interesting, I'm kind of the studio drummer and he's the live drummer within a duo. So that has been just in terms of like planning out how to record any given project, like how are we going to handle the drums and who's going to play them. And that stuff has been, and we've both always approached it in good faith and everything, but we've always had to make those decisions under less than ideal circumstances. Basically, because Scott doesn't have the time that we would like to have for our first choice of how to approach a record. It's probably not going to work because Scott doesn't have the time to do the drums the way that we would both like. So what's going to be our second choice in order to not just get stuck and not have a record at all? But the relationship aspect has always been, pretty positive. I can't think of any major like disagreements or anything with Scott. Nice.
Yeah. I mean, there's always, those kinds of, I don't think anyone gets ideal circumstances for anything really. That sounds even more like a marriage, right? Isn't that what they say? Like there's no good time to have a kid. There's probably no good time to put out an album either.
Yeah. Or record one. Definitely.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think without getting too into it, Jen and I have been married a long time, and she has a bachelor's in music. She has a master's in music education. She is trained. She is extremely well educated and very, very competent at lots and lots of aspects of music making. And I am, for the most part, self-taught. Just playing with her is the bulk of my musical experience, and that dynamic has often affected the way we interact with each other musically, when essentially she knows what's going on and I'm just kind of trying to keep up. I think the fact that, as you said, or similar to what you said, since Jen and I have the relationship that supersedes the music making, we have these other things to rely upon, entering into everything with good faith. But I've definitely experienced with some other people in jam sessions or other bands, if there is a gulf in like training or experience or knowledge of musical, like music making theory and practice, that can be tough to navigate sometimes. Personalities get involved,
And especially if it's not, I think, well facilitated. Like you can navigate, or it's easier to navigate a difference in skill, a difference in knowledge, if the intention is relatively clear and somebody's facilitating, right? Like we're here to have fun. So in that case, if you're trying to throw your knowledge around, that person's the one who's more out of line, because we're just here to have fun and include people, right? But there's other contexts where, maybe we're having a jam, but it's like serious stuff. Like, and this is a late night jazz thing with real jazz heads, and we are one-upping each other, and we are pushing the tempos, and the notes are flying around, and that's what's happening. And in that case, if you're not keeping up, it's a little more on you, and you might, obviously I don't think it's nice to be mean to people or anything about it, but you might need to be receptive to hearing like, look, you need to practice a little more before you come back to this one, and that's okay. It's okay to have both kinds of spaces and all kinds of other spaces.
Every community has its own etiquette and expectations and such, and people aren't born knowing them. I mean, if I haven't been to a lot of this, but I understand if you go to like an old time fiddle jam or old time music jam around here in Lawrence, or an Irish jam, those have very different expectations than a jazz or blues jam. I know there's a blues. They do blues sessions over at Lucia, I think, monthly or biweekly or something, and that operates very differently than like the Americana Music Academy jam sessions, which are, they have very set expectations of each person gets a chance to call out a song, and they lead the song, and they maybe call out the chords the first time. But that's assuming fairly base level of music knowledge compared to other jam sessions where it might be on a stage, or you might be expected to keep up to be able to hang there, you know?
Yeah, I've never really done. Have you done much like jam session stuff? That's never really been
Sometimes.
my thing.
I'd say I got started with that a little bit more. That's a way to hear a lot of different songs and try playing in different contexts in a very low, usually very low pressure environment.
Yeah.
At least I can say the Americana Jam was a very low pressure environment some years ago when I used to do it. But yeah.
Yeah, my interest is much more composition and recording. So, to the extent that I've done air quote jams, like it's more like a tryout situation, or like, are we going to put a band together or not? So it's kind of a one-off, like feeling each other out. Is this going to be something? And if yes, we're going to make it a band and be the same group of people working on the same group of songs, or if no, we're just going to go our separate ways, you know.
Do you not do a lot of improvisational stuff in your performances, in your shows and gigs?
No, I mean, with Scott, I mean, he would take a lot of solos, and sometimes song sections could extend or something, but there wasn't a lot of question about structure. It would have the same, the linear steps would be the same, and length would maybe be the only thing that gets negotiated. And same with even less kind of flexibility with Mars Lights. And then other groups have basically been more pop. Like, it's just, this is the song and we're going to play it. And there is that element of spontaneity in how you articulate the performance and everything. But like arrangement, all that is like pretty much fixed.
Huh. I guess maybe this is something that's very genre specific. Yeah. So the trad jazz workshop that I just did in New Orleans, just got back from a couple weeks ago, tends to culminate in each night. There's a few hours of jamming on a stage in the hotel bar where we're all staying, the bar of the hotel where we're all staying. We're not all staying in the bar, or we are, but only for about 3 hours at a time. And there tends to be a lot of, because it's people who don't generally play together. It's, 7 to 8 people on stage at a time. There needs to be a lot of communication on the fly of like what's going to happen, who's going to get a solo, how many times we're going to go through the form, if we're going to do the verse or not, what key it's going to be in. And because that combination of people generally haven't played that number before and won't again, we kind of have to pull it together in the moment. That said, yeah, there's with 7 or 8 people, there's a lot of room for personality conflicts. The front line, being typically the horns, usually forgets that the rhythm section in the back line is even there. They usually don't offer solos to any of us, and even if they do, they often play over us. I don't want to call out specific people, but
it's the trumpet players. Come on.
I mean, trumpet or cornet players, even worse. Yeah, it's like they're running the show. They're the ringmaster there. All the songs tend to be in a key that is very unfriendly for female singers, and so it tends to be pretty hostile to singers. If one of the dudes wants to squawk out the lyrics now and then, despite not being a singer, really, like that's fine. But if someone wants to come up and specifically do a vocal performance, there's a lot of like, I don't know, do we have to? And this is not just to air my own frustrations at the sausage party that is the jazz world, including the trad jazz world, but those are some of the issues that frequently come up. People not being super receptive to others' participation in the improvisation, or someone, I don't know. You get the cases where there's no one driving the car and we're all just trying to muddle through, and you get the opposite end of the spectrum where someone's like, I want to do the song my way, and everybody shut the hell up and do it like this. I understand from watching a fair amount of VH1 Behind the Music that happens in bands with more established set lists as well.
I'm sure. I mean, and it kind of, okay, 2 thoughts. Number one, of course, it's the perpetual like human problem, right? Where if the social rules aren't explicitly designed and people, kind of held to them, then the group tends to replicate whatever the dominant hierarchy is.
Mm-hmm.
Just ongoing challenge for humanity.
Right.
To kind of pull it back to last week's episode and the "Please Don't Talk About Me When I'm Gone" short story.
Mm-hmm.
How were your actual trad jazz jams kind of band led or facilitated, and is it the same or related to how that was handled in the story?
It's more or
like
less
taking turns and
yeah. And I'm not sure how much this is. I don't know. I don't even know if the jam session like that is the jam sessions at the New Orleans Trad Jazz Camp. I don't know how well that reflects the broader jam session or trad jazz world. A lot of the music that we would see obviously would be more established bands, but there would tend to be some communication on stage about like how we're going to end the song or who gets a solo when. The jam sessions that I would do is pretty much as depicted in the short story, where each person. No, actually, come to think of it, that's closer to the style at the some other jam sessions, like the Americana jam session here in Lawrence, where it goes around, each person gets a turn to call a song. It's not usually like that at the New Orleans Trad Jazz Camp. There, it's pretty much someone in the front line, usually the trumpet player, says, "We're going to do this song. Everybody find that song on your iReal Pro, and it's in this key, and we're going right now, so I hope you're ready for it."
So there's a few facilitators, but it doesn't go all the way around the band.
No, not usually.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's scary for me to think about. Like, I would be completely lost.
Yeah. I mean, especially because we're all fumbling around like user-created chord charts on this app we all use, iReal Pro. And we're not always looking at the same chord charts, and we're not all looking at the same key sometimes. So that can be kind of scary. Sometimes the wheels come off. Sometimes
the harmony is very rich.
That's a great way to say it. Yeah, that's jazz, right?
Wow, what dense extensions on that chord.
Such dissonance. I never would have thought of that.
Amazing. With your one band experience in Lawrence that you mentioned, can you tell me quick, just like how many members, how many years were you in the project? Like, what's the rough?
It was about 1.5 years, I think. Let's see, it would have been maybe 6 of us. And it got progressively more dysfunctional the longer we stayed together, although it was somewhat dysfunctional right from the start because there seemed to be some dispute about like how serious we were going to take the project, where someone invited their partner to play egg shaker in the band, and their partner is not a percussionist, and like it was a little bit like, I don't know, what is this? Are we gonna try to be like a good band, or are we gonna is this just for funsies? Like, I tend to see the writing as my artistic passion, teaching is my day job, and music making is my hobby. I see it as something I do for fun, and when we make money playing gigs around town, that's like, oh, what a nice little bonus. Mm-hmm. That said, I did find myself weirdly up on my high horse about like, are we just letting anybody into this band? Like, what? Like even someone who doesn't know what they're doing like at all, as opposed to me who only kind of knows what I'm doing. I don't know. It was drinking shots of Jameson in a friend's basement. Hey, do you know the song? Yeah, let's play that. We did like Prince covers. It was fun. It was goofy, and it eventually got more and more heated until it kind of fell apart.
Yeah, I'll bring this back around, but I've been very fortunate, and I'm very grateful to so many of my bandmates and collaborators over the years. And I've also done a pretty careful job in some ways of choosing them and choosing what groups I want to be a part of, because the relationship is so intense and requires such a high level of communication and trust to be enjoyable for me. And I think this is a pretty common experience. It's easy to get distracted and frustrated and wrapped around the axle there's very different visions for what are we doing here? Are we having fun? Or are we trying to be a good band? And there's some win-win in there, and there's also some real tension. And at some point in the night of practice, and we've all had a couple shots of Jameson if we drink, and like, are we going to get around to making the song, or not?
Yeah.
And I've really only had one experience that was significantly challenging with expectations and behavior and different things. And people who know me will know what that is. And you and I, if you don't know, we can talk about it another time, but not on the podcast.
Sure.
But, and it has to do with a person that I still feel I have a lot of positive feelings for this person. And I'm not in touch with them. I hope they're doing well. And I'm open to being in touch with them again. But at the same time, like, this person caused me a lot of, they treated everyone in the band badly at times and caused a lot of, like spiritual almost discomfort is not strong enough. Distress is probably too strong, but like the music was so good. I put up with some real shitty treatment to keep the music going. And that felt rotten at times.
It's like family drama,
Exactly. You nailed it. That's exactly what it is. It's like family drama, and it feels like family drama, and it hits as hard as family drama can. And there's differences, of course. The history may not be there, but you're working on this project that you both care about so much, maybe in different ways, but a lot of times you don't have a project like that with family, right? So it adds this other dimension.
I mean, you can be friends with someone. I've had the experience of being friends with someone for years and years, being close friends with them, and then doing something like traveling with them, and all of a sudden the friendship is tested in a way it never has before, because travel is caught up with all sorts of things like money and time, and music making also, especially if you're recording something or you're working on a project together. It's like it's caught up in all these things like, again, money and time and artistic ambition as well. And having those things pulling at the pre-existing friendship can make things really difficult.
A road trip, like a major road trip, is a wonderful metaphor for anyone who's never been in a band with somebody else. Like, what a great metaphor to help somebody who hasn't had that experience empathize with kind of what it's like to be working on something with a challenging bandmate. And I've been the challenging bandmate at times. I get very attached to, sometimes I've got the vision, right? And I just feel like I want it to be this way. I want it to sound like this. I want this song. I want the parts to go this way. I want your performance, fellow band member, to be better.
Ooh, yeah.
In a way that I may not be capable of myself, but it's part of my vision is I want this. And so I'll own that I've been the challenging bandmate at times. Not so much, hopefully, with the interpersonal, but with the artistic and the project level of things.
Well, let me just say as well, echoing what you said, I also wish nothing but good things for my former and current bandmates. Lovely people and want nothing but the best for all of them.
What a place to leave it. Wishing well to all of our bandmates. Sylvie, great to have you back. Listeners, you can catch up with Sylvie at sylviealthoff.com. I'm also going to link to Sylvie's stories, which we discussed last week. But please check out and grab those PDFs with Sylvie's fiction and a bunch of other great stories that I am looking forward to reading soon. I've only read, I only did my homework the night before. I wanted it to be fresh. But I'm looking forward to checking out the other stories. Follow Sylvie on Blue Sky.
Yes, please.
And everybody have a good week. Wishing the best to your bandmates after listening to Dat Fury Radio. thought that landing was a little touchy, but I did it.
No, absolutely not. 10s across the board.